Kלים Perek Chafei Mishnah base. We carry on with these dinim of Acharayim V'Toich, and I must tell you, this Mishnah base is quite a difficult Mishnah. So it may take me a bit of time, and I'm going to try and explain it according to the way the Chazon Ish explains this Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Hamardea yesh lo acharayim v'toich. We need a few introductions here, as usual. The first introduction is we have to describe what a mardea is. A mardea is basically a wooden pole, and at each end it has a metal utensil stuck onto it with a distinct separate function. One end is called the darvon. It's a metal prod with a sharp point used to prod the cattle when you want to drive them. At the other end we have another metal instrument, another metal tool, called the charchur, which is, I think it's a type of hoe, H-O-E. A wooden pole with two metal kelim at the end. If the keli is whole, and the Mishnah is talking about when the kli is whole, not when it's broken, then it's quite simple. The din d'oraisa, of course, is that the whole thing has a din of a kli matches, although it's got actually two clay matches incorporated into this mardea. And of course, if one thing becomes tummy, the whole thing becomes tummy, you don't split it into two. That's introduction one. Introduction number two. Recapping on the dinim of Acharayim V'Toich that we mentioned in the previous Mishnah, we said as follows. When you have a kli, which has a toich, then there are three distinct parts to the kli. You have the toich, the inside surface of the receptacle. You have the acharayim, the outside surface, and you have the yad. When dealing with tumas mashkin, which we explained in the last Mishnah, mashkin are able to be metameh the kli midrabanan. There's three different treatments depending on where the mashkin touch. So if the mashkin tmeim touch the inside of the kli, the toich of the kli, then the whole kli becomes tummy, as if it was a d'oraisa din. When the mashkin touch the outside of the kli, then it's only the outside that becomes tummy. The toich remains tohar. We also mentioned the din, which wasn't actually in the Mishnah, but we did mention it, that where the mashkin touch just the yad, the rule is the whole thing remains tohar. The mashkin are not able to be metame the yad. But that din, known as acharayim v'toich, that means you have a split treatment depending on where the mashkin touched, are they touching the acharayim or touching the toich. That din applies only to kelim which have a toich. If however you have a kli poshut that's made out of metal, which is makabel tumah, then there is no kula of acharayim v'toich. Whenever kli poshut, the din remains the simple din. Wherever the mashkin touch, the whole kli becomes tahor. Using those two introductions, we can now look at the mardea. When the mardea is whole, it's obviously a kli poshut. It has no toich. So all you've got is, you've got a kli poshut, and you have the pole in between, the rod in between which connects them, which has a din of yad. But under the rules of kli poshut, the din should be wherever the mashkin touch, the whole mardea becomes tomei. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and he says, Hamardea yeshtoi acharayim v'toich. This, what's hard about this mission is, the side of this mission is that this expression, acharayim v'toich, which normally means, in other mishnayos, it means you have a split treatment of acharayim v'toich, depending whether the mashkin touches the toich or acharayim, does not mean that here. In this mishnah there is no toich. What this expression is, Rabbi Yehuda is introducing a very big kula, a kula which applies only to the case of tumas mashkin hitting a mardea. If a sheretz touches the mardea tumah d'oraisa, the whole mardea becomes tummy. Says Rabbi Yehuda, when we're dealing with Tumas Mashkin, which is a Drabonon, although this is a Kli Poshet, and under the normal rule the whole Mardea should be Makabel Tumah, however here with Tumas Mashkin, we're going to split the Kli, we're going to break the Kli as if the Kli is broken. When a Mardea breaks, and you have two pieces, then each one is Makabel Tumah with the Yad, but the Yad must have a certain size to be a Yad, and anything longer doesn't belong to the Yad. That's a din only when it's broken. And we're going to apply those dinim, says Rabbi Yehuda, to the case of Tumas Mashkin, even when the Mardea is not broken. So what he says is, the words Yeshtam Acharayim B'toich just means here that we split the Kli into its two distinct functions when we're dealing with Tumas Mashkin. And he carries on, Mishivo lecharchur me'arba ledarvon devi Rabbi Yehuda. On the charchur end, on the hoe end, we have the hoe plus 7 tfochim of yad, of rod. On the darvon end, we have the darvon, the metal hook, plus 4 tfochim. That's the shear for yad. Says Rabbi Yehuda. For Tumas Mashkin, we split this kli, and we say, if the mashkin touch the charchur, or if they fall anywhere on the next 7 tfochim of the rod in between, then that's your kli poshut, and then that part becomes tummy, the charchor and the 7 tfochim. That bit is all considered as its own distinct, discrete kli poshut with a yad. On the other end, you apply the darvon and 4 tfochim. If the mashkin touch the darvon, or the mashkin fall on the rod within 4 tfochim of the darvon, then the darvon and just the 4 tfochim become tummy. In other words, midoraisa, you don't do such a split because it's all whole. It says Rabbi Yehuda for Tumas Mashkin, we're makel, and we split the kli into 2. Rabbi Meir Omer ein lahem. Rabbi Meir says we don't have this kula. All Rabbi Meir means is we cannot split a kli when it's not broken. The normal rule applies, which is this is a kli poshut. It's one kli, and therefore wherever the mashkin fall, the darvon or the charchor, or even a piece of rod in the middle, which is neither 7 to the charchor or 4 to the darvon, wherever the mashkin fall, it all has a din of mashkin falling on a kli poshut, and the whole kli poshut becomes tomei. Rameh carries on. Those numbers 4 and 7, depending on which end, are numbers only relevant elo l'shiraim, when, as I mentioned, the kli breaks, it snaps into 2, and then you have to be done on the broken rod. How much of that rod actually belongs to the kli? Because now it's broken, you have a shear, the classic shear for yodos, and each particular utensil has a different shear because of their different usage. One is 7 tvochim, one is 4 tvochim. It has no relevance to Tumas Mashkin. And we carry on Mitzvah Shem with this wonderful Perek, Mishnah.